A motion to approve the agenda, please. Jeff? I might just go
We'll take
Elmer,
turns.
Jeff, Elmer.
That's
Elmer.
right, yeah.
Good. All those in favor? And then the minutes of our last meeting, which was held May 27th, a motion to approve those. Jeff, second, Elmer. Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor then? Carried. So, the reason why we're here, a report from Ariel from Columbia Park Elementary School.
Great.
Turn it
And
over to you.
I would like to just walk through this a little bit and just highlight a few things if that's okay with you, and then I'll show, I've pulled together a bit of a slideshow that highlights just some visuals so that you can see kids doing the things that we're talking about doing and stuff as well. So in the first couple of pages, you'll see that we are a school of 202 students. I think when I first came, it was 207, so we're down a little, but it goes up and down. For a couple of weeks this year, we were at 199. That was the first time it had dropped down below 200, but then Scarlett and Rebecca Pitts walked in the door and we were up again, and then right now we're at 202. And that's how things have shaken out down there. I did make one mistake up top. Stephanie Noel's class is actually a 2-3 class, not a straight 2. That's the classroom you saw over there with the poofy things hanging. Nice bright classroom. And that photo there is just one of our spirit days, crazy hat and hair day. We don't really have students with mustaches. Not usually. A little bit in grade 7. And then if you turn to page 3, I just wanted to highlight, we've been using the MDI in our schools now, I think for 3 years, maybe even 4. And I just like this graphic straight from the MDI, which looks at the research and says, you know what, if these 5 areas are in place for kids, their futures look really bright. And I think we could do worse in schools than using that strong research base to plan our school programs as well. So the social emotional development, physical, health and well-being, connectedness, use of after-school time, and school experiences. I thought I'd use that as a frame to highlight what happens here. So that first one, positive social and emotional development, I put it first for a reason. It does have to be in place for all the other things that people like to count to exist. Without that, kids aren't successful. And so I talked about it when we did the tour, but valuing what's unique and different about our students and about ourselves as well, allowing teachers and all staff to teach and work from their strengths is important. And then teaching positive strategies for managing stress and worries. We have Sean Borthwick helps us with lots of those things, but also teaching staff. I've really delved into the Mind Up program, many of them, or other, there's some of them here, the Kids in the Know program, also for dealing with when things have happened to them in their lives that they're not okay with. So there's lots of different approaches to that. And I put right at the bottom of the page, using control theory and restitution-based model of conflict prevention and resolution. Control theory just reminds us that we are the ones that are in control of us, and we really work with kids to remind them that the person that can control them is themselves. And so helping them to have the emotional self-regulation to be able to stay in control, or to get control back once it's gone, is part of when we intervene. Because if we don't deal with those underlying things, then problems keep happening. And then restitution, that's the part after something has happened to make it whole again, so that the student can return to the group without other students feeling the need to retaliate, or that student feeling like they've been embarrassed or made to feel less. Over the next page, physical health and well-being. So we do lots of things as a whole school, some fun and physical activities. We do school-wide runs for a whole month, so 8 times in the spring. We do staff-student games, like at the end of different sports units. Then we'll do games at lunchtime, and the whole school comes and staff and students play, modeling fun and physical activity. We have intramurals, things like the Zumba lessons I highlighted earlier. We had a capoeira dancer come, First Nations dancers came, all kinds of different things like that. Sharing healthy food, so we've got the BC Fruit and Vegetable Program, which comes monthly. Most recently it was peppers, sometimes it's other little finger food for the kids. Our pack is very active and does healthy lunches once a month, and healthy snacks at sports day. We had a buffet fruit and veggie table at this sports day. And then during school-wide activities, like during Winter Fun Day, instead of hot chocolate, we did mint tea, and that was just the kids really enjoyed it, and we didn't have to have a bunch of sugar at the turkey trot, and so on. We just have healthy snacks instead of sugary ones. Not always. I mean, there's the odd time when a child will bring cupcakes in or whatever, but we try and model that. Learning together about health, so we did healthy habits, kind of modeled it on what Big With You had done the year before, but we designed the lessons to be what we felt was what we wanted the kids to hear and learn.
Hi everyone.
She's
Got in
here.
December.
Hi, Leslie.
My apologies.
No, you heard your son wasn't well, or your husband wasn't well.
Just dancing on the edge of the world.
Welcome back. We'll just get your binder.
Have your
My
books.
apologies, everyone. But medical emergencies and I missed the tour. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You can come back anytime.
Papers.
So Leslie, I was just being really stimulating by going through the so everybody was really happy for the introduction.
I thought it was a really great report.
Oh, great. So we're on page 4, and just talking about some of the physical health and well-being things that we've focused on. And I was just saying that we did healthy habits rotations throughout the whole school. And that was kind of like a double barrel approach, because one of the things we wanted to be conscious of doing is building those connections between teachers and different students as well. So we had Sue's group, I think you did, was it healthy nutrition?
We did the sugar in the drinks.
Sugar and drinks, right. So all of the students in the school eventually would have gone through Sue's class. And so every kid had a chance to do those rotations with every teacher, which was another way of kind of building connections in the school. And so that leads us into number 3, which is we really consciously design connectedness into everything that we do. At staff meetings, we have I'm off script now, but we have a list that we kind of touch base back with. These are kids that, for whatever reason, we're worried about or thinking about or wondering if they're okay. And we sign up to make sure that we're connecting with those kids that are that we're worried about. And sometimes kids come off that list, and sometimes kids go back on the list, and sometimes new kids get added to the list when something changes in their lives. But it's just a way, the kids don't ever know that we're stalking them, but it's a way that we can make a conscious effort to be that adult in their lives. And so that's just one example of a way that we make sure connectedness is throughout the system. And that's why it's one of our growth plan goals. So between students, connections are really important too. I talked on the tour about how we consciously mixed up the ages of all our hallways, because we want students to have incidental interactions with kids of a different age. I think they are at their very best when they have to be. They don't know that. You get much less of the grade 7s feeling like they have to turtle and be grade 7s and tough when there's cute kindergartens coming up and giving them hugs in the hallway because they're right there, and that happens. So that's another way. You saw our house team totals and house team groups, and those 4 big house teams each have about 50 students on, and then inside each house team they're further broken up into 4 family groupings. So that makes a really nice group of 12 or so students that are all in different ages, all in different grades, and they can then do really neat activities in a manageable group size, led by our older students. Buddy activities, so reading sometimes, writing sometimes. Most often it's reading, because it doesn't happen as frequently as we'd like. It is intended to happen every second week, but then if there's a pro-D or something on a Friday, we won't do the buddy activities. I talked
competition between the houses or something for points?
A little bit, but it's very minor. Like, yes, they clap and cheer when we give them their host team totals, but that's not really the point of it, but it, for some kids, that's motivating. Yeah, and there is a plaque that I think has been at the school for ages that has each of the winning host teams from that year on it, so, yeah. I talked about the legacy tree planting and how each year the kindergartens and the grade 7s trying to plant a tree together. That's trying to build that connection, again, between students, but also, between time. Like, students of the future are going to come back and see those trees, and we're continuing to make sure our playground stays beautiful and shaded and so on. Christmas breakfast, we all sit down and eat together in the gym. And then connections between students and a variety of adults. So those teaching topic rotations I talked about, house teams and family groupings. Each staff member is also included on a house team and help out with family group activities. Stations when we have special events, and student care meetings. These are like our school-based team meetings. A variety of adults will be involved with those. And then connections between parents and the school, and we'll get to that more in detail later. And then finally, and one of the things that I think has been really neat, it's happening at a level that I haven't seen before, is these connections between staff members. We've got quite a lot of teachers who are new to teaching, and then we've got quite a lot of teachers who are new to our staff as well, and there's been the mentorship project and the iPad project and all kinds of opportunities for sharing, which is really neat to observe. And whether we notice it or not, kids notice when the staff is really collaborative and works together, and I think that it kind of leads over in positive ways to how those relationships happen. Positive use of after school time. We don't have as many things as some of our community schools here, but we do. I've listed a few of the things that happen here from community groups, and then also, of course, we have our seasonal running, volleyball, basketball, badminton, and then we actually ran running club again to coincide with our spring track and field events. And lots of promotion of accessibility for after school sports programs. But it's something that we're always worried about how much time we give to community groups and so on, but when things are free, I make every effort to make sure that kids know about them in the community. Lots of our families aren't very well off. We have lots of families that could take advantage of things like kids sport and things like that. And then last but not least, that need for positive school experiences. And I wanted to highlight just not the basics, although those are very important too, the reading and the math. That's what allows us to keep learning, but the varied and stimulating learning experiences that we're really consciously building into every season. We approach learning from lots of different angles, including increasingly a musical component to our learning, which I think is really healthy, so that we know that music's influence on the brain is key. Then also nurturing in students that positive, the sense of themselves as learners, and never losing that sense of themselves as learners, whether they're at grade level or not. I want them to see themselves as forever being learners. And profoundly positive school climate that embraces difference and promotes peaceful problem solving. You'll hear me say that a lot, but that really is key. And then that sense of trust and belonging here. Victimization and bullying, I'm not going to say don't happen, because they do, but when they do, we are able to deal with them thoroughly and promptly, and that sense of restitution coming full circle helps reduce the niggling underlying things. I actually had to send a boy home partway through today because he just has not gotten through to him that what he's doing is mean and targeted and not okay. So those things happen, but they're, and then I'll meet with his family first thing in the morning, and we'll bring that full circle. But we don't want to pretend it's not there, because it is. But that's part of figuring out power dynamics in relationships, and they may as well learn it now. So. Our code of conduct was a big focus this year. We revamped it. It hadn't been looked at in a few years in a big way. So we had lots of meetings with the parents and lots of meetings with staff to kind of tweak and wordsmith. the short version is here on page, whatever page this is, 7, I guess. And then the longer version I put at the back, which if you don't mind flipping to, on page 19. This took the lion's share of our work. And this was, we used to have like, if this, then this will happen. If this behavior, then this will happen. And we all know that life is full of shades of gray. Not the novel, but like not black and white.
It just got more interesting.
So,
Did you read it?
so what we wanted to do was not like tie our hands to like this happened and so therefore this will result, but to more look at the level of intent behind the behavior and also the impact on others. So we've kind of broken it into three general areas, and level 1 is very much about teaching and very much about like helping students to stand in someone else's shoes, and very much about like why do we have that rule, and you know, how does that keep our schools safe and so on. Level 2 is more serious in intent and more serious in consequence. They really could affect the safety and tone of the school, and so you know, when things start getting repeated and so on, it's boosted up to there. And then level 3, we just make kids fully aware that if it's behavior that can cause harm or would be illegal in the outside world, we have a series of protocols that deal with those kinds of behaviors as well, and certainly that's where any sort of targeted power imbalance, intent to harm, bullying behavior falls.
Ariel, I can underline whole school teaching, like if needed. Can you elaborate on?
So you saw when we walked around, there's like garbage here and there. So I would take an opportunity then in assembly, or maybe it would even be sometimes a special assembly if there's something dangerous or serious or, you know, worrisome. And we would do that full school. Or we would say, you know what, we're all going to focus on, the snow's melted now, so we're going to focus on how do we play on the playground stuff safely without injuring anyone. That kind of whole school teaching, yeah. Okay, any questions about code of conduct? Page 8 is the litany of amazing things that happen. I just went through the calendar and jotted things down. I know I've missed many, that's the risk in putting a list together, but lots of things new today, this year. Like computer programming is kind of taking off, and there's Lego Mindstorm, which some kids are quite interested in, and so some things are new this year. Some things have been around forever and are really great traditions at CPE, if we don't want to lose. And I see I put Caribou Cup on there twice. That's because it's really great. Oops, I didn't mean to. But I know that always when I come and do the board meeting, it is amazing to kind of put it all in one place. This is not just teachers, you know, squirreled in their classrooms teaching, and that's the end of the day. There's so much beyond what just happens in a classroom. Page 9 starts with Aboriginal education. We have about 31 students at Columbia Park with Aboriginal heritage, and Nadia McLaren, who's new to us this year and actually only started in November, has really gotten lots of neat things up and running, one of which is a very visible, very visual project in the mural, which will be unveiled tomorrow at RSS. But in doing that, she's generated all kinds of excitement and interest around Aboriginal education, not just among our Aboriginal students, but much more broadly than that. And we've had beginning conversations about the enhancement agreement as well, so we've had the opportunity to have lots of visitors this spring, which has been neat for our students.
Sherelle, any volunteer?
No, Sherelle has a piece of a contract as well. She's here here one day and a part of another day. Yeah, we were finding with Nadia starting so late, it was hard for her to make contact with all the families and all the students throughout the district. So, yeah. Student initiative, so student council is really active, less so in the spring here, but lots through the winter months, and they helped organize us for that pink shirt day that you saw the results of. And page 10 talks a little bit more about some of the student leadership activities. Every morning we're greeted with the morning announcements. 2 students read, and they're quite lovely, sometimes very funny, sometimes they do accents, and sometimes they're, you know, just, yeah, lots of times it's just really, they're not nervous, they're really clear, it's good. Grade 6 and 7 leadership, we have just a whole bunch of opportunities for them to lead around the school, and you can see some of them there. And some service learning projects. Alexa Klassen, who now on maternity leave, organized a Me to We club in the school, and so they did lots of fundraising and social consciousness teaching during their lunchtime meetings. The giving tree for the local food bank and families at Christmas time. There was a tree filled with little stockings, and it would say like 6-year-old boy, and so then if your family took that, then they would go and find a gift for the 6-year-old boy and wrap it and put it under the tree with the label back on, and then those would go out to Revelstoke families. I think there were 360 gifts that were brought in, so there's a big pile of gifts under the tree. Sierra Leone Water Project, and you can see a whole bunch of other ones. The Jump Rope for Heart fundraiser was a big success this year. And on and on and on. Page 11, our parents do all kinds of things around the school as well and are very involved. They've been loving having the kitchen, and we've been loving that they have access to the kitchen because they've really done nice regular meals for the school and been involved in other ways too. And there's our school planning council, and this year our big work, like I said, was on revising that code of conduct. Early academic intervention continues to be a real focus. We know that when students come to school, they start at a variety of different stages of readiness. And if we can just help them get some of those early pieces that if they've come to us that they haven't had exposure to, then quite often they'll just take off. One of the first things I put here, one of the first things they need to know is their letters. And so this is in color, so you can kind of see. This is based on the work of Janet Mort out of UBC, and she just devised this bubble chart to keep track of when kids learn different skills, and you can fill in the blank for whatever skill, you know, numbers, times tables, it doesn't matter what the skill is, but it provides a nice visual. So you've got when they first arrive in, or when we first assess them in February, that's the purple. So you can see, kind of look, I blanked out the names, you can see the kids who've been reading tons already before they come to kindergarten. Those are the ones that are, when you look across, are all purple. You can see the ones who just needed like exposure to letters, and then boom, when the red lines happen, they got it. And then you've got the ones that are blue, and they needed a year of kindergarten, and now finally those letters are all there for them. And then you've got some for whom lots of the letters still haven't come, and that ends up being 1 or 2 or maybe 3 kids. So these are our kids that right away then we know it's not lack of exposure. There's probably something else going on. So this would be a really strong referral then to someone like Andrew Sykes to say, what is happening for, in this case, this child's visual perception probably of lowercase letters? Why are these shapes not sticking? And so this is just one of the ways that we catch students' progress early. Are there questions about that? It's kind of a weird thing to include, but I thought I'd show you one of the ways that we intervene early.
Are numbers handled this way too?
Yes, yeah, we can, mostly things around early language arts and early numeracy skills, that's the best fit. Yeah.
It's actually good that you included it, because there's been a lot of discussion, and discussion continues about assessment, right? So this is when we refer to relevant classroom-based teacher design assessment, that's what this is, because it's connecting to instruction. It's not an FSA, which is a snapshot later on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thanks for including it.
And it gives you such a nice visual right away of, oh, we need to really figure out what's going on for this one little one. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Growth plan goals. So these have remained the same this year. Literacy, including reading and writing. And I didn't include all of the data in there. I've got some more in the slides as well for you to see too. But so we've kept our standard at 90% because maybe 10% of our students won't get up to grade level, but the research is looking more like 95% of kids should be able to be at a certain standard of reading and writing and math, given the right intervention. So we've kept our standard really high. We haven't always met it. So for example, you can see there 85% of our grade 3s now read at grade level. This is using the PM benchmarks as a measure on a given day again, so it's not, every day, but it's on a given day when we do the PM benchmark. By grade 7, 100% are reading at grade level with fluency, but I wanted to point out that fluency often correlates with comprehension, but doesn't necessarily equal current comprehension. We have one student who we've been in discussion with at the high school to focus on her comprehension as she goes. And then just looking at as our students are leaving grade 7s this year in a cohort of 20, so 17 of the 20 students were writing at a standard BC performance standards for writing that's proficient, so at grade level basically. That'll vary, you'll see a different number when I show you the FSA results, but it just depends on the measure and the day too. 91% of grade 3s, when they are leaving grade 3, are meeting or exceeding grade levels for writing, again, using BC performance standards. And then numeracy goal. I wanted to highlight that, so I'll show you the FSA results, which have just come out. I've included them in slideshow. It's maintaining. Our students are maintaining their numeracy levels, which is great. And that's indicated with their report cards. There's some where you're like, why are these C minuses? But and then that connectedness goal. I just included some of the MDI results. So 93% of our students in grade 4 felt connected to 2 or more adults, and the rest of them felt connected to 1 or more adults. This is at school. And then peer belonging, friendship, intimacy, also high, 68 and 75%, feeling like they feel like they belong with kids their age. Page 15. That sense of themselves as learners and that this is a place that they can be their best in. This is again grade 4. The green bar is what we're hoping for. That's that sense. I'm certain I can learn the skills taught in school this year for the first one, and then school climate. People care about each other in the school. I feel like I'm important in this school. Grade 7s. So that number of important adults, 79 and 11, or 1 or more important adults. And then peer belonging, friendship, and intimacy, lower in the green but higher in the yellow. Me being all the time ahead. And there's the results there for grade 7s.
Your grade 7s are just about to start discussing this.
Yes.
I would, the hesitation with trying to interpret these results is that this is a starting point for discussion for service providers, teachers, community, and our kids to say, here's what you said as a group, and where are you? Like in that friendship intimacy, when you say so 15% are not thriving, and are not indicating that they're in a position, in a spot where they are getting beyond the not thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on? And that's the discussion part. And actually on Friday, you've got some high school students coming here to discuss this
Yeah.
information with the grade 7s and say, what do you guys think? And that's a really important part of this, because you can't just use the results. I mean, and I'm glad you didn't even include last year's results, because last year's results were last year's group of cohorts. Yeah. So it's a dipstick measure to say that, but it's a starting point for discussion.
Yes, it is. And the kids, and we went into that MDI assessment telling them, like, we're going to look at this together. Unfortunately, the assessment happens in November, and it's a lot later that they're interpreting it, but maybe that distance is fine, and they can say, well, maybe it was this, or maybe it was that for us, but the discussions about the data is really important. And I hope we have time to do it well. So then just a conclusion there, I'm gonna read it because I'm gonna get off track otherwise. So Columbia Park is a thriving community of learners, teachers, and support staff pride themselves on staying current and continuously learning and improving their teaching craft. Our students are encouraged to explore learning through many modalities, providing multiple ways into new concepts. We're a small school, but even at that, we've consciously built a school environment that ensures that students know many, if not all, fellow students and staff members. And when problems and concerns arise, we've established and maintained a very open dialogue. At the heart of our emphasis on teaching and learning is the knowledge that we are all connected to each other, to our community, and the wider world, to our natural environment, and to the past and to the future. Those are just some photos there. Do I have time to show a quick little slideshow? If you have questions or things, please stop me. I'll try and talk about some of the slides if it's relevant, but I won't take too much time either. So I wanted to start here. That grade 7 leaving ceremony that we did last week was just a good indicator. These kids are grateful, creative. RSS is very lucky to have them coming, and they've helped to set the tone for the school. This is our school-wide matrix sessions at the beginning of the year, and that's part of that school-wide teaching. So everybody just knows what's expected. So when something happens that's unexpected, we have a conversation about that. Very caring staff. Alexa heading off with good wishes on her maternity leave. And this little video, Sam went around and introduced some kids. Could you hear that? A little bit, not very. There's a couple of videos throughout. Opportunities to learn from all sorts of teachers. This is our little 8-month-year-old Pider, who is a Roots of Empathy teacher. Students learned lots about reading needs and interpreting different things, and about human growth and development. Consistent academic success in reading. So it goes up and down year over year, but somehow we always get in there. This is right in the middle, so we're right where you want to be. On average, this is an average. So some years it's up and some years it's a little bit lower. But mostly what I want for our students is that they become readers. They're kids that enjoy reading and can use that as a tool to continue their learning. That early targeted literacy intervention that I mentioned earlier, so any of those students for whom the regular classroom exposure isn't enough, then some targeted intervention, and then it goes from there as needed. There's the writing goal, consistent, again, up and down some years, but it's actually 2015 cut off, but up a little bit. By one editor, that's 8. And I think many of you will agree the opportunity with writing, the fun part is actually sharing what you've written. So, consistent academic success in math, again, across the board. Lots of use of manipulatives. We had Carol Fullerton come in, who is a really great hands-on math teacher, well known throughout the province, and she came in and did demonstration lessons in classrooms, and the level of complexity that she was teaching, but using manipulatives, it was fascinating to observe. This is ratios, comparisons, yeah. But really high-level mathematics, but with stuff, so it looks easy and fun. And here again, this is early numeracy skills, and then applying those mathematical principles, for example, to computer programming. If this, then this, and so on. Yeah. There's some more results from the MDI. This is a grade 4. And so it wanted to highlight that, yes, there are times when bullying happens. So green is not at all. Once or a few times is the light green, about every month. So it happens sometimes, about every week, and then many times in a week would be the red. But then it's this part, the tools to respond. When those power dynamics are out of whack, how do kids respond? And that teaching is really key. And I really like this question on the MDI because it talks about some of those tools, that self-awareness. good decision-making, perseverance, and assertiveness, which we know is key. Bullying can happen if people stand up and say, I'm not okay with that. This was a fellow that we had come in, Frisbee Rob McLeod, and he's a Guinness Book of World Records holder in Frisbee sports. Who knew there was such a thing? And so he came in and he just talked about, like, so how does a guy get on this life path that I'm on? And he talked about respecting difference and acknowledging that there's a place for every skill and every person in the world. You just have to follow it with all of your determination and heart, and never be ashamed to say I'm a Frisbee athlete, but not a basketball player. So he was really great, and the kids enjoyed that. And then Frisbees were, or still are, really popular out on the playground. Those individual recognition awards, the ones I showed you in the hallway, are really key, and they give us an opportunity to recognize kids for, you know, some unusual things, some really individual things. So I love that program in our school. This was our winter sports day outside, and that's one of us, maybe you or me, Sue, serving tea. This was our Terry Fox run, doing those things together. This is a wild site program that all kinds of different programs, Parks Canada programs and wild site programs have been offered in the school. This is a kindergarten class and a parent volunteer. And also Jeanette Vickers program. This is our Christmas breakfast with everybody in their pajamas. It's fun. Here's another video.
I like it when we have special spirit days and when the house teams get together. And I like how we have a competition about whoever gets the most house points.
See, that
Becky,
is fun.
Mackenzie, Carshade, and all the house teams.
There's Mike making his appearance as Zero the Hero. Big guys and little guys. And exciting opportunities for learning. So once those basics are in place, all kinds of, and even before then, all kinds of neat learning can happen. So learning with technology, and I highlighted the iPad project, classroom technologies, computer programming, Lego Mindstorm, and so on. Outdoor learning opportunities, lots of those going on. Community involvement, you'll see some slides of that later. Aboriginal education for all, not just our Aboriginal kids. And then strength in the music program, and so on. Here's the mural being painted. He was before he was our mayor, but he came in and was talking about his political platform. He also came into Sue's room. Mark Mickey. Using tools to explore. We actually even have microscopes in the kindergarten classroom so they can bring in bugs and look at them. And there's the choir. Oh, here's another. This is
What do you like most about CPE? I like most about CPE is social studies.
That's the most I heard him say.
Oh no, he's chatty. Exploring structures, learning about ecosystems. There's lots of this going on this year. You might have noticed the scar in the back playground where the grass doesn't grow really well, but there's great sand out there. This is our back playground crew. Sorry, Mike. This is another video. Paige actually got this bruise at school. Yeah, shot put. Oops.
Do you want to interview? Yes, sure. Oh, you do, okay. What would you like? What my favorite part about CPE is that everybody gets along with CPE, and I love the subjects that we do here and how we learn it. It's very educational. Great.
This is Neil Brooks. He came in and did salmon dissection. I showed you that the grade 7s had raised salmonids in the classroom. And then, so they did the dissection watching him, and then they each, in groups of 4 or so, got a fish, which they dissected, and then they taught the kindergarten grade 1 class after they'd done the dissection about all the different parts of the fish, which was very smelly and icky, but fascinating. I just love the faces of the guys. They're like, oh, this is so gross, but so cool. There it is. Are there any questions at all?
Any questions from anybody? Or comments?
Well done, Ariel.
Anybody else? Leslie?
Well, I have all kinds of questions about those charts, but I don't know that this is to raise them. Maybe I'll come in.
Sure.
I mean, I need to look at them more.
We can look through the full reports too, if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd actually really like to do that. I just need to understand better how these numbers work and what, you know.
And for timing purposes, so trustees know, so generally speaking, you would get, you will, in the board package in September, you will have a report to help us do some of that interpreting as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
you're welcome to do it now. The reason why we jumped on this now is because schools really want to do something with the kids this year.
Right.
Normally, you wouldn't see this until the following
Yeah.
year, so
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
but
Well, maybe I'll
absolutely, you're
look
welcome to do
at
that,
this.
yeah.
That'd be better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to get the kids engaged first, so.
Yeah.
right.
Is that it, Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
Well, I was impressed with the whole thing. But one of the involvement was Aboriginal and our regular kids in the Aboriginal program. That's really excellent. It really results in better understanding of the field.
I think so.
And also the detailed tracking of individual students on their, you know, the letters, the recognition of letters.
Yeah, there's
That's
good.
a demonstration of how closely we track them. I didn't realize that. So,
Okay. Mike, do you have any?
Yeah,
Or Elmer?
yeah. I just want to correct.
Just wanted to
what
echo what I
Ariel
said
earlier.
Sorry, Elmer.
No. Yeah, well, thanks very much. When Ariel first got this report in, the hour that we wanted it for the package, I looked at it and smiled, and I actually texted you back and said, it's a beautiful report. And the idea, trustees had asked last year about, early in the year, about the purpose of this, and principals have kind of asked, there's a lot of work to put a report together, and if it just comes to the board and then ends there, it's a lot of time commitment, and then we're looking for value added. And you've got a really nice document that really nicely highlights for your community what's going on in the schools. So thanks very much for your efforts doing that. And I also appreciated that you are dealing with, that you're saying this is what we're good at and this is what we need to do differently. And you're doing that on a group basis, which is exactly the way you need to do it, because you can't be doing that you're doing it individually, but not reporting individually. You're doing
Yeah.
reporting as groups, which is a fully appropriate way to do it. So thanks very much for that. Thanks, John.
Go ahead, Leslie.
Just, as with all these reports that we've had as trustees from the schools, the detail that they go into must be really daunting to put this together. And I hope it goes, does it have another audience other than just the website? Is it available to parents?
I will share it with staff and our packs, and I'll put it up on our board. I don't know how many people will read it, but for sure.
Because your staff know.
This slideshow I will share at the end of the year assembly. It'll be shared.
Right.
Actually, this year it won't be me, but it'll be shared at the end of the year assembly. I always share what I share with you guys there, and tell them that we're bragging over them.
I mean, I can understand that parents would already know quite a lot of this information. Is there any possibility that in the future, these reports could go up on the board website, or?
Oh, they do.
They do?
Yep,
Oh,
yes, and
okay.
we've got a historical picture of them there too, so, yeah.
Because there's a huge amount of information
Mhm.
for the public.
And you never know what to include and what not to include too. Sometimes it's like, is that, because, yeah, I know there's things that were key. Sue's probably sitting there going, where's the?
No, good job, Ariel.
No, it's very informative, and for people who are outside of the actual schools, there's lots of information here that gives us a really good picture of, what you're doing all at home. So thank you.
Thank you.
For sure.
It's a fun place.
And if I can also say thank you. The report, again, I think, we've been through all the other schools. The report again shows us what a great school district we have. Not one school, but all the schools in this district do a great job, and that's certainly evidenced in your report. I just want to say personally, I really appreciated seeing your revised code. And I thought that was really interesting information, a really interesting way of how you look at the various level 1, level 2 behaviors and that sort of thing. And how you try to deal with them and understanding that you know, it's not always black and white. And I like your mention of control therapy, you call it, the whole aspect.
Yeah.
We really are all in charge of ourselves, and it's really all about the choices we make ultimately in how much success we have in life. So pass on thanks to your staff, to the students, and also to the parents for a great school that you have here. Okay.
Thanks for coming to visit it.
Yes, and thank you for hosting us.
Thanks, Ariel. And listen, I know you've got a million things to do, so you are welcome to do whatever you want to do now. If you want to hear what this else going on.
I'll keep it open.
Yeah, absolutely, sure, you bet, okay.
Okay, so that does take us to your report.
Okay, all
Go
right,
ahead.
so yeah, we've got a series of things over there. So I'll start with item number 2, although it seems old news now, that Sarah Vincent had a family connection that brought Bob McDowell to host Works and Parks to RSS, and actually he just offered to come talk to a class, and next thing you knew, he had a theater full and entertained us, and what a nice thing that was that she was able to do it, and the Bob McDowell did it for us too. I connected number 8 and number 18, just noting that Miriam Manley and I were up at the HEM for the board, for the Columbia Basin Trust, to do a little sharing on how that partnership with the Revelstoke Arts Council is working. And thanks, David, for including the pictures on the website. It was nice to have a little bit of that notice too. Those partnerships are important and also going to require ongoing support and attention. I'll back up to number 14, just to let you know that we completed the educational assistant staffing process for 15-16, and we're actually starting the year next year with the 20 more hours weekly than what we started last year, and a little bit, and once again an enhanced level of the educational assistant time going in the system next year. Item number 19, I just wanted to remind, and it's been a little bit since we did this, since we noticed the end of ScreenSmart, but we had talked informally about the significant work that Stephanie Melnick has done in terms of that ScreenSmart work, and I mentioned to you before that although she has paid a very small contract, she certainly doesn't keep track of time, and we don't really pay her what the hours that she puts in, but she's very happy to do that work. Item number 25 and 36, I'd like to connect those ones just to let you know again that we wrapped up this year's mentoring program, the 14-15, with 19 teachers involved. Jennifer and I sent out the request for interested participants for the 15-16 school year. Most everybody that was involved last year is asked to be involved again next year, which is a good thing. We do have a couple of changes, but that's a good thing because we actually are expanding the program from a possible 20 participants to 24. And again, that's a partnership between the BCSSA, UBC, and BCTF to provide the funding, and the board is also providing some funding next year to support that program. Hey, Bruce. Item number 29, go back to the middle of that page. Just highlighting the senior dramas production of Virgil's Wedding, and anybody that managed to see it knows that it was a quality performance. That should not have been a relatively free. It was a pretty free drama performance. It was entertaining and certainly of super high quality. And I know, and I apologize for this one because there was also the band concerts in here. And I did have a band concert. There we go. You'd asked me earlier, so we do have it over in our 47. We've got some very talented fine art students, and it's such a critical and important thing to be maintaining in a small high school. We've always been very proud of our academics, and you noted the importance of music on the development of the brain. In small schools, fine arts programs are often the first ones to go, and we certainly have a flourishing program as a result of work people like Chris Pattinson, Teresa Browning, and Jim Reddy. Providing great programs for our students. I'll note that with the ongoing, in item number 43, there's just work trying to bring closure to our Revelstoke secondary and Lakeview elementary school projects. I feel it sounds like a broken record, but we're still struggling with issues around heating and cooling in the building. and really trying to get to the bottom with our consultants and with the people that did the work of what exactly is wrong, because it's not just a matter of balancing, there are actually some things that need to be fully addressed, and it's work, and we're getting there, but oh boy, it seems to be dragging on for us at this point. Or no fault of our trying, is really trying to bring in construction and getting contractors back in Rebel, so long after the work is done, they're not too highly motivated to get here for us, so that's really the work of Graham. And then finally, number 46 and 48, just note that the principals met a little while ago to discuss dress codes. It was certainly popular in the media in the last little while. It caused us to have a look at how we were handling dress codes, and Ariel did a really nice piece. I happened to be here for your year-end assembly where you talked to the students about what our expectations were. Really, it's just a matter of making sure that it's an appropriate learning environment. So we've really taken a fair bit of that piece out that says it has to be this or that, and said let's just have it make sense for us. And I know and your students were very pleased.
Yeah.
And I know our students district-wide will be. And so are our families, because it's a very difficult line to draw. And finally, the year-end celebration, the award winners. Once again, the high school recognized all the fine arts, academic, athletics, and leadership students at both the evening performance and then the next day at a assembly where all the student body was there. So if you've got
Any questions or Leslie?
Is there enough read number 46 in the dress code, because this came up, as you know, at DPAC?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, in the fall, when we have another DPAC, is there anywhere where those members can find whatever, is there a common approach across the schools written down?
Yeah, it's the common approach will be the language that's going to be published in the school handbooks, and that will be published. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, for
so
sure.
it's in school handbooks?
Yes.
All of them the same?
Yes.
The wording will be.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
And Jeff?
Firstly, number 34, the Parks Canada charges a fee now.
Yes.
For field trips and so on.
Yes.
That's
Much
right.
Well, there has been a fee in place for the last 2 years. This is the first year they've actually charged it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
How much would they charge?
$225.
A student.
$225 a student.
Oh.
So that's up.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And also, there've been, well, I saw a great performance of the band last Wednesday.
Mhm.
And there's other, like, the Screen Start, a lot of work
Mhm.
for that, and also Teresa Browning, Chris Grandma.
Yeah.
She also had a great visual arts.
Yes,
display.
and the visual art as well, or experiential wedding and the visual arts, yeah.
And wondering if we could send letters of appreciation to those people, but.
For sure.
And you just made that a motion, would someone like to second it?
I'll let Elmer.
Oh, we're gonna start.
Yeah.
Did you get it all done?
So,
We've got
Screensmore
Teresa,
and Teresa.
Teresa, Stephanie, and
And Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also the music teacher at BVE, because I went to a band concert there last night. It was
Mhm.
Roy
very
Rogers, and he just did one here this afternoon, so
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, for
We'll
sure.
throw Bob in there too.
Yeah, we're doing the fine arts group, screen part of the fine arts, that's a great idea, yeah, okay, thanks.
And I love the fact that he wore his tuxedo. He wore his, and his gold bow tie and his gold cummerbund, and he made an announcement about that, and he had all his students dressed in black and white. It was really cute.
That's good. Okay, all those in favor of that motion? Carried? Okay. Okay, anything else? Other questions for Mike? If not, then we can move on to policy 2.1, procedure bylaw.
Okay, here we go, yeah, this is, so this reminder that this work came from the policy review and from the board wanting to start their meetings with a statement much like what's happening at our elementary schools and our secondary school when we begin a meeting or start an assembly. So the wording is there for your review. It was our request, and Ariel and the ABED committee reviewed it on June 4th. Actually, Ariel was busy, you were busy getting your diploma, diploma for completing your master's, yeah. So
I wasn't
you
there,
were-
but Leslie
I
and
was
you were
yeah,
there.
yeah. And so it would require that by board motion, we acknowledge the traditional Aboriginal territories. We would also need to change policy 2.1 procedural bylaw, and that you could actually include in the motion that you make that effective as soon as you make the recommendation, rather than needing to go back through the process of a policy review and then out to the community and back, because it's really gone to the group we wanted it to go to.
So would someone like to make that motion? Elmer, seconded Jeff. And I'll read it because
All
it hasn't
right.
been officially written.
Yes.
Yeah. We would like to honor the 4 nations whose traditional land we live and learn. The Cynics, the Tanaha, the Secwepnik, and the Silex. We respectfully acknowledge Indigenous people, recognizing that our students come to us with Aboriginal ancestry from a variety of ancient homelands.
Excellent. All right.
All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Jeff, you have a question?
The Silex, where exactly is there?
So that's the Okanagan.
Okanagan.
That's the-
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor then? Carried.
Excellent, all right. Okay, and
Policy
this,
3.7?
yeah, and this could be considered, this is really happy house cleaning, because we're actually, or we're housekeeping, not house cleaning. We're actually adding language, and we'll find this as we develop new policy, we actually wind up going back and to say, okay, now we've developed new policy, and so we're moving on, what other changes we need to make? So policy 3.7 has the additional language of gender identity, and in fact, it does have gender identity and sexual orientation, which is the name of our new policy, so we've inserted that language, and there's a motion there for it.
So would someone like to make that motion? Jeff, seconded. Ellen? Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Good. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Bill, and this made it.
Yes.
When we started this process in October, Bill told the policy review committee it was the goal to get it back to you by the end of the year, so that we had this policy in place. I actually got an email a little while ago from a student in Oliver who said, I know you don't have a grade 12 student, I know your district doesn't have a policy, here's a suggested policy. And I sent him back the draft and said, it's so timely that you're contacting us right now. Here's our draft, and he sent a nice note back and copied his superintendent and said, I love the work that the Revelstoke's done and wanted them to have a look at it, so Okanagan too. So that work did begin all the way back in October. The policy has been circulated. It was circulated from April 14th through to June 10th. And even prior to that, and David and others will well know that we've got significant feedback back from the Safe Spaces Committee. Safe Spaces further recommended that we rely on PFLAG, the Parents, Friends, and Family of Lesbians and Gays, as the source for our to inform our definitions, and that would be the source of our continued as things evolve, because we're also now, I mean, already there is language that we are needing to update. That'll continue to be that way, but we are at the point now where we can say we've got a policy given that recommendation.
And on that note, I would take a motion to approve that. Leslie, seconded Jeff. Any discussion on it? Any questions?
I would like to add that I appreciate the public forum, the public discussion that's been taking place, and Laura Sobel did a nice job of summarizing some of that work and published in the Current, and I know David's been doing that too. I'm giving David a lot of credit today for this. But he does have an ability to get some of this information out. The critical piece of this is that a lot of our policy sits in policy till you need it. This is policy that we actually need to push out and say, we've got policy and what are we gonna do about it? Much of our policy just guides our practice. Well, we have not got the practice in place yet that we're proud enough of to say this policy will be set in the policy book. It will be foremost in our working planning in the coming year. So it's giving us that start, but it is only a start.
Jeff? Jeff,
It's a draft there.
did you have a comment?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No? I thought you said you had one. Leslie?
I just wondered, it's under the definition of gay. I'm not quite sure why the second sentence has to be, or the second and third sentences have to be in brackets or parentheses. Seems to me that you could do without the parentheses there, but, I mean, it's not a big issue. If it's already sort of
I think that's the-
entrenched somewhere, then.
I think that's the way it came to us. We just pinched it from another document.
Okay, I would recommend that we eliminate the parentheses around those sentences.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's from P-Flag.
It's from
So they-
P-Flag, yeah.
Yeah,
So our
that's how they printed
our
it,
intent
so-
with P-Flag the recommendation was to take what P-Flag gave us, and I don't think that taking the brackets out of it is changing the intent of the document, so, yeah, and you're doing, and you're giving us this editing work right now too, so, yeah, it's, as you say, it's evolving how those are written, so, you bet, we make that change.
Any other comments?
Well, just a comment, I think these definitions are really useful and helpful.
And just before I call to the vote, for the vote, I would like to thank the Policy Review Committee who stuck with this. As Mike has pointed out, we've been working on it since October. But, and that included Jennifer and Clara and Todd Hicks as the principal's rep working on this. But I also want to thank Mike, because Mike went out into the community quite a few times, to the Safe Spaces Committee and so on, to help get feedback. So that was good.
I think the RTA will, once it initiated. too.
Yes, that's
That is
right too,
correct.
yes,
Yes.
yes, thank you for saying that.
That's right, Jennifer, hey.
That's right.
That's right. David,
Jack, you brought us the first drafts.
I just
That's
wanted to
correct,
make a
yes.
comment that the Safe Spaces Committee really appreciated Mike's attendance at a number of its meetings and his contributions and his willingness to listen to what we had to say.
Thanks, David.
It was an important step for you guys and for us.
Yeah, thank you.
So all those in favor? Carried.
You two have a meeting before.
I know.
I can slip a few bucks later.
Okay. Well, see, I can't see Jennifer today. Usually I can see Jennifer, so I'm usually like on and on about how great Jennifer is. Yeah. Still can't see you. Okay. All right, the mission, vision, values. So the ad hoc strategic planning committee met over the last 3 months. Trustees started this all the way back when Ariel took us through a planning process, and that was January. It doesn't seem like all that long ago, honestly, but time is flown. So the mission, vision, values, and common goals document's been widely circulated for feedback. It's been through DPAC. It's been Bill and I took the chart on the road to the rec center. One quiet, sunny evening. We did have some good chats with some people, for sure. It was entertaining. And then, in terms of the recommendations that flow from this, so there are 4 recommendations in total. The first one obviously would be to adopt the document. And then as a result of adopting the document, we're right away going to need 2 other motions to form a communications committee and an education committee, which would be a 15-16 task, but doing that now would get us going. And then finally, the motion would be with respect to the mission, vision, values, because those documents also reside in our guiding principles, we need also to change policy and update policy, so that final motion would allow us to make that change in our guiding principles 1.1. So 4 motions there for you, and Bill, go ahead.
And just before we start, Leslie didn't get the updated version, which
Here it is
she
right
may
there.
have found those.
She brought in the document yesterday. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so, would somebody like to move the first motion?
It just has a very
Board of
minor change.
Education approval goals set out?
No, but you got this.
Elmer, seconded. Jeff, any discussion on that? All those in favor then? Opposed? Carried. And the next one is that the Revelstoke Board of Education establish a communications committee to enhance communication strategies. Someone like to move that? Leslie, seconded. Jeff, any questions, comments? No? All those in favor? Carried. The third one is that the Revelstoke Board of Education to establish an education committee to continue to focus on educational excellence within our schools. Somebody like to move that? Leslie, seconded. Okay, Jeff? Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. And the last one is that the Revelstoke Board of Education forward the mission, vision, and values and goals document to the Policy Review Committee with a request to revise the existing policy 1.1 guiding principles to reflect the new mission, vision, and values. So I'd like to move that. Leslie, seconded. Don't be shy, put your hand up. Any comments, questions? If not, all those in favor? Good. Great.
Excellent.
That was another one I
That was
said we were
another
going
one you
to get done by June. And again, I would like to thank the committee and also the other people that worked on it. And again, that was Jennifer and Clara and Sue Davies and Todd who helped us out on that. And anybody that certainly gave us input from the community.
And Jeanette.
And
Well, actually, so.
And Susie.
And then Susie, yes, thank you. And also to point out that this is, as someone has already said, it is a living document. I'm sure one of us will read it in November and go, oh, we missed something,
That's it.
you know,
Yeah.
so we need to understand it, so.
I don't think
yeah.
I managed to thank David for this one, is there no, if you get a thing, okay, well.
Thank you, Dave.
No, we'll get, he didn't hear anything for this one, he didn't get thanked.
Okay, good, thanks, that's great.
Okay, then, next we've got the approval in principle for the Revelstoke Secondary School out of town, I like we call it out of town trip. That is our policy. It's out of town, all right, and it's to Cuba. And there are, right now, the first step, of course, is the board needs to let them know that it's okay to go ahead and actually collect some money. They certainly have interest, they have over 32 students that showed up. They initially, you'd also approved a trip in principle to New York, and there was very little interest in that one. And the students talked to Jim and said, you know, we would really love that. We're doing a Cuba trip, and it's a robust trip, so it'd be a good one. So there's a recommendation for you.
Okay, so I'd like to move that. Elmer? Yeah, seconded, Leslie. Any discussion? Comments?
Yes,
Go ahead,
can
Leslie.
trustees volunteer to,
Yes, I had the same-
Good.
I had the same thought.
Yes, yeah.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay, and disposition
Okay,
of surplus
yeah, so it's been a
schools.
little while since you had an update, and so just to let you know, we haven't forgotten about it. But the reality is, in terms of the Big Eddy site, we are unable to proceed with any of the disposition, but we know we've already reviewed the processes taking place there, so we really are waiting on the city and Big Eddy Waterworks, and even then, we'd still be waiting on market conditions, so we're not getting too excited about it. The Mountain View Elementary site, again, it's been recommended, your Graham Farstad had a look at the response to our last one and said, you know, in a reasonably strong market, we should have expected a lot more interest in the RFP process than what we actually got, which was really nothing. And so we'll just continue to assess market conditions, and I think it'll be pretty obvious when the time is right to be readdressing that. And then in the meantime, we are starting to talk about Mount Begbie Elementary School, and we will, in the 15-16 year, begin that consultation process with the community to talk about what might happen with that building. And that it would be very early stages, because we've got, again, we just had that process, we want to make sure and go through with them. So, for your information.
Oh,
Any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
at the Mountain View site, there's recently been some ditches and pipes and so on.
Yeah.
Just what is the purpose of those?
It's a little more ground prep that's taking place, because you recall, we were actually gonna do we were gonna look at the field, and because it's an old, the old foundation that's out there, we decided not to do that piece, but there is some work around the building that's actually gonna make it a lot more saleable, so. And that includes a little bit of work around the plumbing that was there. And you know, the building was built on top of old clay sewer lines.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's to make sure that we're not having any trouble with that. The city was kind of interested in that.
Okay. All right, so and we have nothing from you, Bruce, today, right? Okay, committee
He's
reports.
been pretty quiet.
Committee reports, the first one is the policy review committee. If I could get a motion to put those be received. Jeff, seconded. Elmer? And just comment those, I think we've dealt with all the business already in previous motions, so we receive those, yeah, that'll be good. All those in favor? Good. Thank you. Finance and facilities, Elmer?
Bit of a roundtable session here where we discussed, I guess, our feedback to BCSTA with regards to motion 13, motion 19, and motion 20. On motion 13, I think most of us were agreed that the document itself, the code governance relationship memorandum of understanding, was a good document. However, the Ministry of Education's commitment to it was probably the weakness. That our main feedback was that basically it was not being followed. The consultation wasn't there, and there are some examples of that, Bill 11 would be one. And I think that was our main point of view with regards to that, yeah, it was a really good document. We were pleased to sign it. However, the Ministry of Education's commitment was kind of questionable on that. And with regards to, I guess, okay, Mike, would you like to add on that? Because I wasn't at the second meeting, I was away for that, where we actually,
Well, so we have now created our feedback, and actually, so our board's feedback went into BCSDA. And then, and actually Mike Roberts just today sent out the compiled feedback, so there's a next step for us to do now. Or at least to see what the other boards had to say.
yeah. And then on, I guess for the other motions, 19 and 20 with regards to provincial collective bargaining, we kind of said like, you know, it's up to BCTF and QP and BCSTA to basically start talking, which they are, and in which case, like, you know, there will be a time when we will be putting in our feedback, I'm sure. Like, you know, it's gonna be, we have the time there, but better started than never. And any other members that were there, like, I know you weren't, Jeff, but.
I regret that.
With regret. Leslie and Bill, like, any comments from you two?
I just have a follow-up. Leslie and I were on a conference call the other night with Teresa Razanskov, who is our mentor trustee for a group of new trustees from around the province. I guess we're in the blue group, right? Leslie, is that we were? I don't know. Anyway, I asked her about this because there still is a process going through the BCSTA. And it's not really moving ahead right now. They've got many other things to deal with, that's part of the issue, but it's also, it's if I remember correctly what she said, it's also the Minister of Finance that really holds the strings in a lot of this sort of thing. So there needs to be a way to get that sort of connection, I guess. So, but they will be getting, the BCSTA will be getting back to us on.
This one here will definitely be an ongoing process.
Yes.
So, that in there being, I'd like to move that the minutes be accepted as presented.
Seconder?
Leslie McCain.
People are so shy today. All those in favor? Okay, thanks, Elmer. District Parent Advisory Council minutes, Leslie.
Yeah, the minutes are pretty complete here. We had a couple of quite animated discussions. I think one was about the White Hatter, who is a person who comes to give internet and social media safety presentations. And there was discussion about having that person come back, the White Hatter, to give more presentations next year, and everybody seemed to be very keen on that. And RSS has set aside $1,500 for that. There was some discussion about where their money will come from, I think, for the rest of that. But the PACs are quite keen on having the White Hatter return. It seemed to be of considerable concern to parents. He was apparently really good. I'm hoping that next year, if this White Hatter comes back, that I can attend at least one of the presentations. Most of what was talked about is in fact in the minutes, so I don't want to take up time just rereading those. I think it is worthwhile to point out, however, the times of the first day of school on page 2. September 8th, 9:30 to 12:30 for the elementary schools, and 9:45 to 1 for the high school, as the times that school will begin. And there's mention of the mug and muffin in the elementary schools going on as well, I guess for parents to come and drop in.
And meet the
teachers and so on. The Columbia Park noted that the credit union who funded the signs, speed signs on 9th Street, I think.
And Arrow Heights.
And in Arrow Heights, Columbia Park is requesting, and will write or has written a request to Gravelstoke Credit Union. Bulk school supplies was an issue that came up, and something about a cost of $30 per student for bulk buying of school supplies. I'm not sure where that comes from. The money is charged to parents and the school board.
Yes, what some of the PACs have done, and Ariel's done this as well, have decided that as a cost-sharing measure, parents buy their own school supplies, but when they go shopping for them on their own, some of them buy them out of town, some of them buy them in town, some recycle some things. So our PACs have got themselves organized, both Bayview and Columbia Park, and they put together a bulk purchase, locally purchased, and then bundle it up and sell it, so that if parents elect to pay $30, they can buy it from the school instead. So it just makes it a little bit quicker.
There was a lot of interest in this meeting in dress code, some really quite animated discussion. Again, I suspect that in the fall, when everybody's wearing warmer clothes, that discussion must subside probably for a while.
Yeah.
I made the comment that I had written to the CBC a response to, a big article that they published, and that it was just an aside really, but I mentioned that I actually am in favor of school uniforms, and I was really amazed that 3 people at the table said me too. But everybody more or less agreed that in spite of this agreement among some people, that this is a non-issue and it will never happen in Revelstoke because so many parents would be absolutely appalled and kids would fight it. But anyway, there it was. It's a topic that continues to be of issue to people at PACs, I think. So there was reports from each school, garden project from CPE, various events at BVE and at the high school. It was a very good-natured meeting, and I think everybody was happy to wind up with the notion that there won't be any more meetings in the summer. But it was quite an entertaining meeting, for me anyway, to attend. So that's all I can.
And so would you like to make a motion that those be received?
Yeah.
Seconded? Helmut? All those in favor? Larry, good. And then you just want to move on to the Aboriginal Education Advisory Committee?
Yeah, I have to admit, I get confused in my mind. We've had so many extra meetings that the actual official meeting, I have to refer to these minutes myself. I will refer to an ad hoc meeting that took place at Laura Stovall's house with Virgil Seymour, but it was mainly members of the Aboriginal Education Committee who were there to talk about an upcoming meeting, really a visit from people from the Colville area who are coming to talk about the Columbia River Treaty on June 25th, and there were posters all over town that Taria Davies and I have put up at this point. And we're trying to publicize that meeting, that it is mainly the Aboriginal community in town that's behind that. There are 4 grade 12 students who will be recognized at
Both from the Education Commissioner Fassbender. The first one is regarding the public sector executive compensation freeze, and the second one has to do with shared services. Both of those are in response to letters we sent on those issues. So I think they're just for information, unless anybody has questions or comments. None? Okay. And that takes us, is there any questions from anybody? Okay. Oh, come on.
Well, okay, now that you've asked, actually, I do have a question. Has there been a response to the May 7th letter that the board sent at RTA request regarding Bill 11 and professional development?
A letter back from the ministry?
Yes.
No, there hasn't. And actually, these two are in here. This is quite surprising. I don't actually recall a time when we got a letter back. So, if we get it, Jennifer, we'll make sure you get it, when we get it. But it will appear in a package.
All right,
There won't
thank
be
you.
any of these that we don't put in a package.
Okay.
Yeah.